Question. Rips in response to, well, it should be bass tone. It's an epsilon wave, if you will. It's a real bass kind of number to like, well, you let them do that in Lou's backyard. Why not me? Can I do that stuff in Lou's backyard? Let me do stuff in Lou's backyard. Come on. I can do stuff. So we're getting to it. Take your time. Dark side of AI. When you think about it, let's just see what we got to the issue. Here's slave labor about the camp. But what am I doing right now? I mean, look how much I've put in just a short amount of time to what I want the HTML file to really do. Now, I am capitalizing on the shoulders of giants here, Zuckerberg, no doubt. But that's the nature of the foundation, isn't it? Warhammer. The Dark Descent gets deeper, don't worry. We'll get more into it here, Hancock. When you think about it, friends and family, Hancock, greatest generation, all I've learned is to be stronger alone here. And some of it, I'm not saying that's all environments, or you couldn't get it by getting dipped in the river that day with all your family and friend, but anyways. You're running lightweight. It gives you a certain look. I like GPT and everything, but I can't the same way I can't to a boss, just the voice here. You got the sound of the saws telling us, well, they stopped, so I guess that's a fair statement. But I'll absolutely give credit where credit's due when it comes to it. And with the AI, it becomes this hope saw. I can do so much with it, but the limited potential on what people are going to do with it, I think, myself included, with what capabilities are still left with it, is not an AI telling me that. I already know M1, M2, MN as far as help me write a math. Just give me some math problems. Just not. A shift is solve this problem, right? Well, here I give Chat GPT a problem, and I had him correct my work. And I had him go through it and make sure that all am right. First, I hit the enter button. After I did that, well, that's a bug problem. If you just do 1 and 12, I think is what it was. I can't really see it here. Yeah. Oh, no, you're going 60 miles, 3 hours. So you'll go 120 miles, something like that. 118 is what that is. Real simple math, real break. We can begin to break that down quite considerably as far as what we're doing here. Is it a bit of slave labor, Pavlovian dog exclusionary to a black body problem? You bet your butt is. But that's what also gives you the slope, so that way somebody didn't put you up on Yellowstone trying to bolt the beast. This is a good practice. Probably along the course you're going to see a bunch of divergent little high and low flows from 5 volt to 0. And above that, it's actually a counterintuitive idea, because above that is still that same question I'm doing again, but it's run through roots of having that energy effect of a consistency on the sinusoidal, because electroweak here, FX to EM, play that hydrogen gambit here, equally like you would see it play it here. Specifically, not this. What this is the very specific system all people have to know. So whether I'm doing that, or I am grafting somebody that, as far as what the cognitive decoherence experiment is of a multi-domain of that battlefield here, a basic question. Now I asked it a couple of different questions, and it's fair that it turned it on me as far as you can't really describe what Riemann's hypothesis on prime numbers are, now can you? What is prime is 1. What is prime is 0. That the effect works or does not work in that field when you prove or disprove chaos theory. I'm not sure if they put Erodes up in here, but one of the other ones would be NP completeness. That we have taken this first easy to solve problem and we have latticed it through a button. Now the button in itself isn't NP complete, is it? If you look at it in that limited form of timed events to black body problem, then that's more complete than it was before, and that process will do things like an algebra series. Technically, they're not the same mile per hour test in different forms, are they? Let's change linearly or randomly. Is real or irrational. This problem's not going to jump orders in a logical progression to states like that unless there's some kind of style or function, dev, inside there that allows that to say, well, there's 2 teachers there. But it couldn't do it the other way. Individually, the teacher could write individually them out, but let's say that there are 2 in the packet. Then the individual testing of those standards start to come through individually on both sides of it, whether it's the button in this file or the button in this file, and maybe some different applications in both of them that, well, at any rate, I wanted to talk about that because I put in, I put in a lot of time, and I give myself lots of breaks. Is that something that I want to do when I look at the grammatics of how, if data being data and files being files, and my log at the terminal in a corporate setting to the API versions of what AI are, then that's where this is coming through. Here, you would have to know the program to make it do the file, to make my terminal do what my mouse does, but the backdoor to get it over to Zuckerberg's, but that's essentially what it could do. Why? Great question. A lot of middle ground in there as far as point to the Big Bang on eschatology, and certainly considering emergence, but NP, or what is it, NTF beginning, NTF end, or the recombination and accelerating phases. Here, a lot of recombination, NP, Gresham's law, Bell's inequality states when my natural log is math, science, esoterics, politics, but individually I've data mined out of here some way to get some routes out of this and make them more calculable, more manageable for the squares, about what certain individuality types, when you core them to those specific positions while data mining them, is a test in itself. But we're not saying that. To build, to have a result first in the button tile, I need, if I always just want to do a button to 2 pages, then I need 2 HTML files for sure. I can't do it with just one, but the building would be easier to put all that brick in one place. Get the first file from a blank set going. And I've been beating this drum today a lot, so stay with me if you're paralleling the latitudinal lines over to Warcliffe with me, Site 19. But what we can do is we'll just start up a new file, and I'll show you. 777, alright. We'll open that in VS, because you can't necessarily do that so clean using that process here. When we open up our files for this later, I'll show you why, because it hasn't been created yet. It's not necessarily in here unless I'll leave that. We don't need that. We will need that, actually, so we'll keep that in the background for now. They make a big difference sometimes. Okay, so we got our base set, and this practice drill is super critical for everything. Click this button, do this. Turn off your computer, turn on your computer, get it to this file, get Linux on there, power washed. But when we're in the build, when we're in here, this becomes, we want to make sure any files types that we have are virtual studios, when they need to be indexed, they are correct for the web page, because that first one's going to get the rest of them. When you do all that extra work and have it do that button that goes to that page, this file will automatically do it, because these files are where it's naturally getting it from anyways, and as long as that's getting it on the page, all you need is that file. I'm not saying you couldn't do that, but is that the most efficient route? See, it worked. It was one, potentially, we're just right-hand rule. It was one, but was it the real flavor on that clean Smith chart of the energy from the radio signal to the antenna, or NP to the silicon dioxide chip to the titanium and stuff, but silicon dioxide to the PCB conductivity material, and what you need, the Silvermere first stuff, or atomic layer deposition, or ADL, I can't remember the other ones. But that's essentially what we did here. I know that seemed, speaking the language water technician would be a lot about 1420 inside of here, 1420, 1720, the limiting factor being 2, because otherwise I would say hydrogen and oxygen 2, H2O. Salt's going to be SiNi, right? And that's going to be sodium chloride. You ever notice one of those teachers give you that? You know, it's a chemistry pitch. Great for what it does as long as you got students in that. I mean, I can't give you the job if you don't know that type of verbatim hand connection here about, oh, power wash your computer, come down here, smash it out, get it done, save your files first because that's what you first messed up. Forgot to save your files. There's a whole process just to that. To really say I've quantified enough material to have them not give me a weird field charge on what I'll have to be honest about while trying to traverse this valley here. So that's just something I wanted you to keep in mind. I will go hard as far as a slave boss flash for cash inside of there on an AI boss. Hard.